Y'all, it looks amazing out here, and I got so many books to talk about. It's only halfway through the month. Who am I? I have read 10 books this month, and I don't even know who I am. 2 of them are manga, but 8 actual other books. So I have got to do a mid-month wrap-up, and that's what this video is. So y'all ready? Let's get into it today. So, hey y'all, it's Amanda. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to do a mid-month wrap-up for all the books that I have read so far in the month of July. It's been a crazy month. I've been just reading like crazy, audiobooks and physical books and ebooks. Everything it's a whole thing, and I'm so excited to talk to you all about the books that I've read so far. So yeah, like I said, I have read 10 books, 8 books that are standard books, and then 2 that are mangas. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. First book that I read this month was Bless Your Heart, Ray Sutton. This book is so full of Southern comfort that you're going to be grabbing a glass of sweet tea while you read. That's what I put in my review. And I will be looking at my notes as usual. But I give this book 4 stars. This is about 36-year-old Ray Sutton. She's going through many different hardships in her life, and she's just working to kind of find her place again. She lost her mother to cancer, and she experienced going through a divorce with her husband, and she has a 14-year-old daughter named Molly. And so she's just trying to figure out how to begin again. She doesn't really know how to start, and I just loved her journey here. I'm reminded of that saying in this story. I was reminded, but God was with Ray throughout this entire process, and I loved her journey of finding peace among the chaos. The beginning of this story starts off with us at Ray's mother's funeral. We could get glimpses of her mother's end of life with Ray, and just something, I guess, as a trigger warning, you know, this is full of grief and heartbreak, but there's also like forgiveness and love and mercy, and the Lord gives us peace in our pain, and to just how to deal with our grief when a parent dies. So, you know, I know for some people that is a triggering topic, a death of a parent, so I want to mention that. There was so much that she was going through, and the Lord helped her through it. Ray moves into her mother's home, and so she's trying to kind of start this new life. What I loved about this is her mother left like little letters throughout the house in like different places for her to find, and as she's like going through her life without her, and those are providing a great comfort for Ray. I just loved all those little details every time that we found letters, because it's always like, it was always during a time when she would need motherly advice. So that was wonderful. Ray starts a new relationship with her daughter's basketball coach for the first time in a long time. She feels like things are starting to get better since her mother's passing, but will these things work out with him? Is this what's really going to bring her peace with being a mom and just trying to start a new business? She has these meetings every 3rd Thursday with these amazing ladies, which I'll talk about in a minute, and she has a new man in her life. She's just trying to keep up with so many different things, and to try to keep feelings for her ex-husband away, because he's still kind of hanging around, of course, you know, with them having a 14-year-old daughter. So she just doesn't really know how to navigate life. My favorite parts of this entire book was just like reading all the Southern references. Y'all already know, because I'm from Tennessee, hey. And so I loved all the descriptions of sweet tea, like mason jars, canning, Tupperware, Southern Living magazine, and like, of course, bless her heart. So yes ma'am, and you know, the cover already had sweet tea, so I was here for this. As I mentioned, she did have some meetings with these ladies, and they were amazing. Ray's mother was part of the 3rd Thursday ladies group, where she would get together every 3rd Thursday of the month, and with Aunt Maxine, Miss Dora, and Miss Fanny, and they would just sit around and they would pray for those in need, see who needs visiting in the hospital, or who needs comforting from like a loss of a recent loved one passing away, and like just what did everybody need in the community. And I love that. They also had a little bit of gossip, but you know, it is what it is, you know, that's how it is. And they were hilarious. There were so many their banter back and forth was so funny. They would like argue over, no, that's not what her name is. Oh no, who is this? Like, what is this? Like, it was so funny, and it reminded me of so many people that I know, so it was great. They had like a lot of great gossipy chats, I guess. But Ray ended up joining the Third Thursday ladies in like place of her mother, and she just found so much comfort in their friendships and the advice given. So I love that. So like the Third Thursday ladies group just reminded me of like when we would go and like visit my mama on her front porch and sit on the front porch and sit a spell. So I loved it. The faith content in this is also wonderful. Ray initially is angry at God for everything that she's going through, but there's just a beautiful redemption for her in this, and I cried while I was reading it several times. I honestly felt like this was very realistic. The characters are easy to connect to, and it was just a great Southern story with beautiful Christian faith, and you'll love it. So the only reason this is not a 5-star for me is because I don't love the ending 100% with like, I won't say, but you just need to read it. It's still worth the read. It's beautiful. The author I meant to say was Savannah B. Lewis, and I absolutely adored all the little Southern references, but I will say it. I almost said it. So, yeah, there was just some things at the end I wasn't crazy about. If you read it, you kind of know probably what I'm talking about, but overall 4 stars, and I recommend it. Y'all, I just found 7 minutes here. We got to keep going. The next book that I read was just book 2. It's a manga, and it was number 2 in Oh Haru Ride. It's a cute continuation for book 1. I just think these are really cute little mangas. I mean, they're just like high school romance type stuff. Lots of funny things happen, like friendships and like drama. It's fun. So Futaba and Co are basically becoming class representatives in this story, and they go on like a leadership retreat with friends, and there's a lot of funny things that happen, and I just love them. I think there's a lot of funny, cute high school interactions. I give this 4 stars. They're just nothing like nothing like 5-star material, honestly, but like it was still great, and I'm going to continue on with book 3. So that's really all I have to say on this. We're going to go ahead and move into Love and the Silver Lining by Tammy L. Gray. You already know, and I should have book 3 soon. I requested it from the publisher, but I've been having some issues with like the mailing, so even if I don't get that in the mail, it's fine. I'm just gonna like purchase it because I want to read it so bad. But I have finished Love of the Silver Lining, and y'all, I finished like July 4th weekend, and it was amazing. I love Tammy L. Gray, you already know, and I love the gradient cover. Here we go. I've talked about that how many times. Anyway, so this is a beautiful story. I love Darcy in this story so much, and I cannot wait for book 3. Like I said, 5 stars. I give this 5 stars. Tammy L. Gray, I just feel like she really knows how to write characters with real emotion and depth. We follow Darcy's journey as she's trying to like navigate through her life after a mission trip that she was looking forward to has been canceled. So she's been looking forward to that for so long, and she's just devastated that is gone because she had quit her job, and she gave up her apartment before the trip, but the trip was canceled, like I said. So she's just trying to kind of figure out her next steps in her life after that. She's devastated, but plus there's also the recent divorce of her parents that's weighing on her heart, and so she's just like in a worst case scenario right now and trying to find that silver lining in all of these changes. The Lord is with Darcy though, and I just loved seeing her journey. She's questioning her faith and life and decisions that she's made, but God is right there with her and faithful through it all. I don't want to say much more because I don't want to spoil like the love interest portions. But there is a love triangle interweaved in this, and just like Oshina said, I feel like Tammy L. Gray can write a really great love triangle where you don't really realize that it is, but it is, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not normally like a love triangle person. I like it, but like it has to be done well, and Tammy L. Gray does love triangles perfectly. So I love them, and they're amazing. And so top tier writing. So as a side note though, if you are a dog lover, I think you would really love this even more. Darcy jumps at the chance to like care and train for dogs while trying to find them a home before they could be possibly sent away to like animal control. So there's a lot of beautiful depictions of her trying to help the dogs and everything in this story, training dogs and everything. So I liked seeing that as well because I love dogs in the story. It's beautiful. The characters in the story, they're relatable, and I love seeing all the connections, conversations, and the journeys. And I just can't wait for the next book in the series to see what happens next. So yes, I am so excited. I love book 2, 5 stars. Read Tammy L. Gray. Book 1 is Love and a Little White Lie, if you did not know. But book 3 is going to be Love and the Dream Come True. And I really hope I get that this month so I can I'd love to do a video just on this whole series, honestly, like all wrapped into one after I read book 3. That's on my list. But like I said, gotta get book 3. They said it, but like I said, I didn't get it. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on right now. And yeah, So, all right, so we're gonna take just a brief break. My husband's home with food and I'll be back. All right, I am back, y'all, and sorry if I look crazy. The lighting, I don't know, I'm using my husband's phone. So I was using mine, now I'm using my husband's phone. I wonder if I could tell the difference. Anyway, the next book that I read this month is My Heart Belongs in the Blue Ridge, Laurel's Dream, and that is by Pepper Basham. And I've been saying her name wrong. I finally figured out how to say it, so it's Pepper Basham, and I'm so excited to talk to you all about this one. This was just a beautiful historical romance, and I'm here for it. Love this so much. I give this 4.5 stars. This is a beautiful, heartfelt, faith-filled Southern story all about Laurel and Jonathan in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and they are just trying to navigate through their dreams. I picked this up because I had gotten an arc of The Heart of the Mountains, and that was book 2 in this series, so I had to read book 1, and I had it on Kindle Unlimited. I'm so glad that I read this one first so that I could be introduced into the area, the characters, and Laurel and Jonathan's story. Since I live in Tennessee, I love anything set in the Appalachian Mountains, and this is set in 1918. We see all the struggles and the customs from that time with the mountain people of that area. Sorry if you hear barking, there's some neighbor dogs. So Laurel McAdams, she is an inspiring and strong-willed character. She's 18 years old. She dreams of attending college to become a teacher. Jonathan Taylor, he's from England, and he recently was discharged from the war because of an old leg injury. This injury left him where he was unable to join the cause. So to prove himself to his family, specifically his father, he moves to the Blue Ridge Mountains where his Uncle Edward lives to take a teaching position there. And everyone in the area is not really crazy about Jonathan. They kind of are like, who is this guy? He's a foreigner. They're superstitious, poor, and disapproving of any ways other than their simple life. And they kind of think, why isn't he in the war? All these crazy things. But Jonathan's determined to make everything work out here in the Blue Ridge Mountains. He meets Laurel, and her family is very welcoming. In the beginning of his arrival, he soon realizes that he has stepped into a world unlike anything he's ever known before. I love the way this book was written with all the Southern and Appalachian language. Like, it reminds me of my grandparents' time period and just some of the things that they used to say. Like, for example, we have like a humdinger, that's one Southern word, dilly-dallying, I reckon, it's been a coon's age, been obliged, you know, like it's a lot of shortened words too. So this is like dialect. I was recently talking about this with some friends. I know some people have a hard time with like dialect if it's in like how they would have talked during that time, like this, like written that way. So this is written that way, but since I'm from the South, I don't have a hard time with it. There's a couple things I didn't really know I might have had to look up, but it wasn't that hard for me. But some people may find, if you're not from the South and you're not familiar with some of the language used, a little bit difficult. If that is the case, definitely the audiobook would be the way to go with these. There are several conflicts in this story, including some of the people in the area. They don't like what Jonathan is teaching the children. It results in a lot of conflicts. Laurel's father is going through a severe seasonal depression, we'll say. I won't really go much into that because of spoilers, but he is going through that, and there's a lot of things that are hard for the family there. Her family's going through so many hardships, but again, the Lord is good through it all. This is great faith content. It's full of it. This book is full of it. Speaking of faith content, this book is full of faith content, y'all. I loved it. The main characters in this story are just beautiful examples of Christ, and I loved it. So the only reason I give this 4.5 stars is I wasn't really crazy about the twist that happens towards the end. That's the only reason. It's just a slight knockoff, but overall this was a wonderful story. It touched my heart in so many ways, and there's a lot of unanswered questions here in this story from other characters, so I was really excited to continue on with The Heart of the Mountains. And while we're talking about that, I didn't read that next. I read a couple books in between that, actually a few books, but I did finish The Heart of the Mountains, and we'll go ahead and talk about it. I rated it 5 stars. I loved it so much. This is a recent release this month, and I loved it. I had it on NetGalley, so I'm really thankful that I have it on NetGalley from the publisher. I think the publisher of this is Barber Publishing, if I'm saying that right. But as with the first book, this one did not disappoint. The Heart of the Mountains, it was a beautiful, heartfelt, faith-filled, adventurous story. I loved it. I loved the continuation here. We got to see, of course, Jonathan and Laurel in this story. You don't have to read Laurel's Dream to read this, really. I think you get more out of it. There's really not major spoilers, I don't think. So, but I feel like you get more. People have said you don't have to read Laurel's Dream first, but to me, I feel like you should, you know, in my opinion. So After reading Laurel's Dream, though, I was so excited to dive back into this and learn more about the main characters here are Cora Taylor and Jeb McAdams. So this is Jonathan's sister and Laurel's brother. Those are the main characters here, but we do still get to see Jonathan and Laurel in this story and the whole family and everyone in the Blue Ridge Mountains. It was amazing. So we were blessed to see their story unfold, and I loved it again because I live in Tennessee. Just love the Appalachian setting. It was beautiful. Just so it reminds me so much of things back home in East Tennessee. I loved it. I live in Middle Tennessee now, but you know, I'm from East Tennessee, and I just love everything about this setting. But just basically, this storyline is to escape a forced marriage. Cora Taylor is traveling from England to the Blue Ridge Mountains where her brother is, because he's a mission teacher there, as we talked about in the previous book. And so she hopes to find a place where she can kind of use her nursing skills. And as she continues her travels, she meets Jeb McAdams, and it's kind of a crazy way how she meets him, but I'm not gonna say, but it was crazy. So he's returning from World War I, and he meets Cora. So they start to become fast friends, but yet again, here we are, we're facing some difficulties, but the story takes off from here. Jeb and Cora were just beautiful characters, you guys. Like, I just felt like they had a grounded connection together. Every time they interacted, I loved it. Like, this author just writes some wonderful, wonderful mountain stories, and I was here for it. I laughed, I teared up, all the feelings. I could feel their feelings in this story. It's one of those stories, you know. The characters in the story are beautiful. Like I said, this story is filled with action, love, faith, grace, mercy, romance, forgiveness, redemption. What else? Oh, just in a beautiful family. So my favorite part really was the ending. It ended, it was crazy. It was like action-packed at the ending, you guys. Like, y'all, I was like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next? It was an action-packed ending, and I liked it. I like when we have like something crazy happening and then it's resolved real fast, you know, at the end. I loved it. So there was also so many beautiful Southern references here as well, and I just love the way that they talk. It just, like I said, it reminds me of my grandparents' time. So I'm dying to know more about their family members. There's a missing sister that's at the very beginning of the first book that everyone knows, so I want to know more about her. I hope we get to learn her story as well. I want to read more. So anytime the next book comes out, I am so requesting it because baby girl has to know. Okay. Oh yeah, like I said, thank you to NetGalley and Barber Publishing for providing this for this early copy to read and review. The book is already out now if you want to check it out, but make sure you read Laurel's Dream first. In my recommendation, I would. So yeah, I will be reading more of the Blue Ridge series in the future. And so I'm going to kind of backtrack because I want to go ahead and talk about those two books together. So the next book that I read was a nonfiction, and it is The Reason I Jump by Naoki Higashi.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Siri, I'm keeping that in there. I was not talking to you. Okay, Naoki Higashida. This is the inner voice of a 13-year-old boy with autism, and I love the cover of this, but I didn't love this. This was recommended to me by several people, and I ended up not loving it. I give it 2 stars. You all know that my son does have autism, and as an autism mom, I don't really know how to explain how I feel about this, but I'm gonna try. This book is set as an interview style with a 13-year-old autistic boy who's unable to speak, but he can use like letters of the alphabet to write, and it's translated. So I feel like, and a lot of other reviews have said, some of the things that are in this don't feel like it could have been written by a 13-year-old. It kind of feels flowery, and some of it was kind of wild, and I'll give an example. So my face, okay. So I mean, I don't know. There's several people that said that they felt like the translator influenced what it said. I don't know. It's a whole thing. So anyway, there's like all these questions, and he'll write his answers to the questions. Like, for example, it might say, why do you like to go in the water? Why do you ignore us when we're talking to you? Is it difficult for you to choose appropriate clothing? That kind of stuff. Like, just all the answers from an autistic child. And I was really intrigued by this and it really did give me some insight, but I'll tell y'all here, let's keep going. So while I certainly appreciate this bringing a lot of light to many of the struggles that autistic children face, and some of the information I could definitely relate to my son, because, like, for example, there was one part where it talks about why do you wave at yourself when you're waving by, and he talked about how, you know, that's how he learned to wave, was like looking at it himself. So, I mean, I noticed that my son, he'll say, see you later, bye-bye, and he'll do this. So, I can relate to that. However, some of the answers, actually many of the answers here are very far-fetched and downright ridiculous. Like, okay, here we go. Why do you like being in the water? We just want to go back to the distant past, to a primeval era. In fact, before human beings even existed. All people with autism feel the same about this one, I reckon. Aquatic life forms came into being and evolved, but why did they even have to emerge onto dry land and turn into human beings, and why choose to leave lives ruled by time? Look here. This is ridiculous. Like, my son likes the water because he likes the water. I mean, not because he wants to go back to some primeval era. I don't know how you say that. It just seemed really like flowery and ridiculous, and they talked about the universe and stuff, and I don't like that universe stuff. It's not my jam. So anyway, like I said, I do question the validity here, like some of the reviewers have said, and I have read and researched a lot on autism since my son was diagnosed last year, and just some of this didn't sit well with me. So there's also a very odd story at the end where it discussed heaven, like actual heaven, going back to see loved ones. Like, the kid had died, the child was autistic and ran off and ended up dying because it you know, like, a lot of you have to be really careful because kids with autism will wander off, and that's what was at the end. Well, they talk about how he was in heaven and seeing his parents and like actually being there like a ghost, or like seeing, it was so weird. Like, he was able to like go back to see his loved ones and see what they were doing. Just like from a Christian perspective, a lot of that was very off-putting. So I don't know, maybe this just really wasn't for me. This had some kind of mixed reviews. I'm always up for a good book about autism because I want to always learn more for my son's sake, but like I said, I just didn't really sit well with this, so I'll give it 2 stars. Next book that I read, you all are gonna be like, what? So, another Oshina, gotta read them all, recommendation, John Grisham, The Testament. Y'all, this is a hidden gem. 5 stars. This is wonderful. I don't even know, like, how am I gonna explain this? This is just a hidden gem, truly. So, here we go. I had tears, so many emotions. This was my first John Grisham read. Thank you, Oshina, for recommending this. I always love her recs. Roy has an $11 billion fortune. He's one of the richest men in the U.S. He is dying and doesn't want his ex-wives or his children to inherit his fortune. He's written many wills, but the final will before he dies is the most shocking of them all. Everybody's like, so he leaves his fortune to a missionary, Rachel Lane, and she is in Brazil, and no one knew that was the mysterious illegitimate daughter that he had. So then we have Nate O'Reilly, and he is a recovering alcoholic, and his sole job as a lawyer is to find Rachel and explain everything in the will, get her to sign the papers, and go on. But this is a wild ride. He had to go to some small town village in Brazil, and it was a wild ride to get there. So you had a lot of adventure details from that. There was humor, faith, grace, culture vibes. Really like the culture here to discuss. It was interesting. But Nate's journey brings him closer to God, and the experience completely changes his life. I absolutely loved his story. I also liked the journey as he went to Brazil searching for Rachel. Rachel's character was just a beautiful example of Christ, his love and mercy. Like, she is a true missionary, and I loved it. Even though we didn't get to see a lot of her, she is so impactful and important to this story. It was amazing. So yeah, there are some swear words in this. This is not like a Christian fiction specifically, but it does have the Christian themes, and the swear words in here really wasn't anything major to me. I was fine with it. It didn't take away from the story from me. I love the faith content in this book. Like, the ending was just simply beautiful, and I was crying. If you read this, you already know. I cannot recommend this enough. So please read The Testament by John Grisham. You will not regret it. Next book. Y'all already know Return to Boone's Hollow by Kim Vogel-Sawyer. I was here for this. You already know that The Librarian of Boone's Hollow is one of my favorite books this year. And y'all, it was amazing. This was just a beautiful continuation just to wrap up this whole Boone's Hollow journey. I loved it. If you've read The Librarian of Boone's Hollow, please, you have to read the sequel. It was beautiful, heartwarming, and just faith-filled, emotional, and truly just touched my heart. Kim Vogel-Sawyer is just writes the Boone's Hollow area, like everything about that area, just kind of like the Laurel's Dream and the Heart of the Mountains. I loved the setting so much. Like, it's just such like those southern vibes for me. I loved it. So we are following primarily, we have the full cast of characters and some new characters as well in this story from The Librarian of Boone's Hollow. But this is primarily following Bettina's story throughout. So her journey, there's a romance, things about her father, all that stuff. So if you've read Boone's Hollow, you already kind of know a little bit what happened with her father. And so I'm not going to say because it would spoil, but you already know what was going on with her father in that story. So we're just going to kind of continue on. This is, like I said, this is mostly Bettina's story, but we do have Addie and Emmett and Nanny Faye and all the characters from the previous book. And it was just beautiful. I was crying. Like, I cried. I was just like sobbing at this one part. Like, you guys, it was just so emotionally, like, I don't even cry a lot in books, but lately I have been. Oh my gosh, there's like 3 books in here that made me cry. So but like I said, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but like I said, there are romances, beautiful faith content. It's encouraging. We continue to be pointed back to Jesus, and I love it so much. The characters go through so much here. We are learning about patience, waiting on the Lord, forgiveness, praying about making decisions in every situation, being there for each other. Amazing. So yes, pick this up. If you loved the first one, you've got to read the second one. It will not disappoint you. And by the way, we got another gradient. Hello, I love these covers. The gradient is gorgeous. So I actually read this on Kindle Unlimited, and I had to buy the physical copy because reasons. It was that good. So yes, ma'am, 5 stars. All right, the next book, I already did a full video about this. You already know. I already did a full video about this because I had to. I felt led by the Lord to do the full video review. If you've not seen it, it's going to be linked in the card. But The Extraordinary Deaths of Mrs. Kipp, Mrs. Kipp is in my heart forever. I've already said this. And you all, like, Sarah Brunsfold is just an amazing person. Not just an amazing author, but she's an amazing person. I sent her my review, and she's going to send me, like, a signed book plate for my book. And I was like, I love you so much. You are just such a beautiful human, an amazing human. I just cannot. So I'm so thankful for her. And she wrote me like a special note about my review, and it just really touched my heart. And that's part of why I love this community so much. And I love being able to do this. This is something that means so much to me, is being able to read and review books and then connect with authors. And that just means the world to me. So I'm just so grateful that I read this book at such a time in my life. But like I said, if you've already seen my video, you know, I love this. This is probably my favorite book of the year. This, honestly, I really think it is. It's so different. We don't get to see a lot of elderly characters. And this is about Mrs. Kipp, who is 79 years old, and she's in hospice care, and she is dying, but she's not ready to leave this world yet. It's just such a blessing for me to read. It was authentic, beautiful, unique story of faith, love, and hope and adventure. And like I said, I'm so grateful that I got to read this. Baker Publishing sent me this to read and honestly review, and I'm so thankful. So this is published by Referral also. Clara Kipp just reminded me so much of my great-grandmother, and just full of spunk and energy. Just everything about her was amazing. And in this story, we are basically following Aiden Kelly, and she's a reporter who is assigned to write an obituary about Clara Kipp, her spunky, feisty self. But like I said, she's dying, but she's not ready to leave this world yet. So Aiden's given this assignment. She got in trouble at work, so she's basically said, hey, you're going to go write this obituary about this woman. She kind of feels like it's a menial task, but when she gets there, what she learns is just so important, and everything she gains from that the visits with Mrs. Kipp was just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I mean, I think everyone's gonna be able to get something out of this. Mrs. Kipp was servant-hearted. She lived for the Lord. It was amazing to see her journey. We also got a lot of backstories, like it was like time jump to like the 60s and 70s, so we could see more of what happened in her life and how she came to be a Christian and everything, and what she was doing to help others. it just meant everything to read this book, you guys. Like, the faith content was beautiful. I appreciate it so much. I feel like everybody can get something out of this. Beautiful scriptures, lessons. God brought Aiden and Claire together for a beautiful reason, and I'm so glad. I laughed, I cried, and genuinely think that everyone should read this book, you guys. So yeah, I think we can all use a story like Mrs. Kip's, and my heart's full, like I've already said. I'm going to be thinking about this for a long time. In the words of Clara Kipp, the Lord's hand was moving in this book, and I cannot wait to read Sarah Brunsfold's future books. It was amazing. So yeah, that's what I read, and we'll see what was next. And the last book that I read so far this month was the first book in the Spy Family series. This is a manga, and you guys, everybody's talking about the Spy Family, and I am here for it. I loved it. I cannot wait. My library actually had the ebook, so I was like, let's give this a go. And y'all, 5 stars. This is amazing. It's an amazing story about a spy, an assassin, and a little girl who become a family, and that's all you need to know. It was so good. Oh my gosh, the artwork is amazing too. So I've got to read the next ones my library don't have. It's on wait list forever, so I'm probably gonna have to buy these. I looked on Amazon though, they didn't have book 1 and 2 where you could buy them. So like, they're like, see other all buying options. I don't know. I need other books ASAP, that's all I'm gonna say. So please read these. These are awesome. If you like manga, you're really gonna like this. So yeah, there's great artwork, and like, you have that family vibe, so I like it. So that's everything I've read so far this month. I still have to read our book club pick, Dreams of Savannah. I'm going to start that. Got to read Pride and Prejudice. Going to start that. Going to work on the vlog for it. I don't know if it's going to be a week-long vlog or not. I'm already kind of working on a book haul video, so trying to get through that, you know. And I'm also reading My Stubborn Heart with Amy at Pretty Little Paperbacks. So yeah, and I've got several arcs on my Kindle. Like, I've been going through the NetGalley stuff. Oh my gosh, I got so many on NetGalley I gotta read right now. So that's a thing. And yeah, so that's kind of what's going on for the reading update. I really want to do a Pride and Prejudice vlog because a lot of you all have said that. And yeah, so like I said, this video will come out on Saturday. If you have not entered my 500 subscriber giveaway or asked any Q&A questions, I will link the video. Make sure that you check that out. Sorry for the dogs barking over there, it's the neighbors, but make sure that you check that video out if you haven't. Thank you all for all your questions. Honestly, I've gotten so many questions. I'm probably gonna have to do like a bookish Q&A video, and then like the faith and personal stuff, because there's been a lot of questions come in. I don't know, it just depends. I'm really long-winded, and so I've got like 30 bookish questions so far, and like, I'm probably gonna have to do 2 different videos, which, you know, I think would be great. I don't want to have to do like an hour-and-a-half video when I could do like half and half, you know, and then do like the personal and faith stuff later, because some of you all have asked about like salvation stories and other things and personal life, and then a lot of you have asked several bookish questions, so I want to split those up into 2 videos. But yeah, that's kind of an update on this month reading and what I'm gonna continue reading. I don't even know where I'm at with the rest of the month. I don't know, I've just been reading a lot, and yeah, this is the most I've read. I'm like a 10 book a month, and I'm already halfway through the month and we have read 10, so it's a whole thing. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm sorry this video is a little long. Timestamps are going to be in it, which I probably should have said at the beginning, but anyway. Thank you all for watching. I hope y'all are having a great reading month, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, y'all.